Okay, whenever you're ready. And you'll have to click to go to slide 2. Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. What do these and other superhero movies have in common? They tell an origin story. How does their past shape them? How does it influence the choices they make today? The past may be the past, but it leaves numerous marks on our identity. I think we can all get out of the way that I'm no superhero, at least as far as any of you know. But I do have an origin story, and I'd like to share it with you today. So let's go way, way back to elementary school. I was a straight A student in math, and as the elementary math coordinator, you might be thinking, yeah, I hope so. But what if I told you it's only because I had a great memory, not a great understanding of mathematics? So here's a typical assignment that I would have. 28 computation problems, 2 word problems. I'd get all 28 of these correct, and the 2 at the bottom, they would completely baffle me. But 28 out of 30 is an A. So even though I wasn't really good at problem solving, all those A's, all those computation-focused assignments, they left me feeling pretty good about myself moving into middle school. And unfortunately, it wasn't going to last. So a great example of that is ratios. I'm sure my teachers tried to have them make sense to me, but all I remember is staring at my paper and going, why in the world is there a colon between these 2 numbers? But there was a procedure, I could follow that, and I could keep getting A's. And then we come to algebra, and I'd see equations, and I'd think, line, curve, up, down, I had no idea. But my teacher made it seem like it was supposed to be so easy to visualize, and it wasn't. So moving into high school, I had a case of imposter syndrome. I could get A's in math, but I clearly wasn't good at it. I wasn't understanding it, I wasn't seeing it, I wasn't reasoning about it in the way that my teacher thought I should. Which brings me to the mathematician Gauss. I consider him my mathematical nemesis in this story. My teacher told the story of how as a young boy, he found the sum of the numbers from 1 to 100, and he did it in just a few minutes. So of course she said, give it a try. I had absolutely no idea what to do. And then when she showed the solution and it looked like that, it was hopeless. Not only couldn't I figure it out, but when somebody's trying to explain it to me, it made no sense. So at this point in the story, you might be trying to connect the dots, and you're probably coming up a little short. Clearly, my K-12 experience did not set me on a path that should have led me here in this job in front of you right now, but somehow it did. So in the origin story, there's a point where the hero gets struck by lightning and they gain powers, or an alien gives them a magical artifact, or in my case, I met this woman and she gave me this math problem. So of course, I dutifully solved it using the procedures that I'd memorized as a kid. And afterwards, she said, did anybody solve it another way? What do you mean, there's another way to solve this? And that's when a teacher shared an answer that completely changed my life. Oh, 98's just 2 away from 100. And it was like the heavens opened and the sun shone down. I was like, you can look at the numbers in a math problem? All of a sudden, I realized that math isn't something you just blindly follow procedures. You're supposed to make sense of it. And it's strange to think that in that moment of epiphany, 98 is 2 away from 100. It completely changed the trajectory of my career and my relationship with mathematics. The sad part is that it took until my mid-20s for that to happen. Looking back on my past, I can't believe I reached a point where I would be writing math lessons for 4th through 7th grade teachers, including lessons on ratios, or that I would be the elementary math coordinator for an entire school district. There's a point in the origin story where the hero has to fight their nemesis again and defeat them. In my case, I faced Gauss in my mid-30s, and that's when I knew my relationship with math was completely different. I was waking up from a daydream, or from a nap, and I was having a daydream about this image that I'd seen on Twitter, and I started thinking about it, and it kind of led me down this path where I actually figured out how to find the sum of the numbers from 1 to 100. And figuring that out on my own in my own way is one of my proudest accomplishments. So what would I like for you to take away from my origin story? Make sense-making the focus of everything you do for each and every one of your students so that they develop a positive identity toward your subject today, not when they're an adult. So my call to action for all of you is reflect on your origin story, whether it's mathematical or otherwise. How does it impact your teaching? And in turn, the origin stories being lived by the students in your classrooms. Who are you helping them to become? And what will they look back on when they tell the stories of their lives? Thank you.